one. Have you ever considered that you can actually replace bad behavior with better behavior? Today we are going to talk about how to do this and why to do this. Well, let me tell you a little story why I actually started doing this, and it was because of Zenith the cat. Now, if you want to do clicker training, and they have a little book on clicker training, they say be smart and don't punish bad behavior. Oh, hang on, wait. So then how? Well, you immediately need to come up with the good behavior. So what do you want your cat to do? And I was like, oh, but this is interesting. How does this work for human beings? So first of all, I needed to learn to work with the clicker, like instantly. At the moment, he did what I wanted him to do, and then throw a biscuit or a treat at him, or just feed it to him. And I was like, but what if I do not know what I want him to do? And that was a little bit challenging. So going on, I was like, okay, so how does this work for people? And how does this actually work in the brain? So it all has to do with dopamine release. And of course, there's more to it when it comes to animals. So let's take a closer look at Zenith, and then later on, I'll go into what it's like for human beings. So how do we do it when it comes to Zenith? And actually, it's not that different for human beings. What we do is we point out the behavior that we actually want. Then when it's enforced, we click the clicker, and then he gets a treat. Now, we actually use something which is like a pointing stick. So there's a little ball on the end of it, and he needs to touch it with his nose. Or it could be that I'm calling out his name, and then when he looks at me, that's when he gets click and the treat. So he needs to do something which actually lines up. And well, we have been practicing him touching the ball. We've been practicing him reacting to his name. And I'm now also seeing if I can get him to actually go a certain place, like his cushion or something. So the goal, of course, is that we want something that, so we go to the why now, that I want him to stop doing certain things. Like, for instance, when he's scratching my chair, that's not the purpose. I want him to scratch the scratching material, as in the scratching post or whatever is out there, the scratching curtain. Also, I want to train him as a travel buddy, which means that he needs to learn to follow up orders, because otherwise he's going to jump out wherever I am. And by training him, I think that can really make a big difference. But here's the other reason to actually train him, and that's he needs to get rid of his energy. And please note that whereas as human beings we don't want to get rid of our energy, energy is actually the reason to think about how we use certain, or how we actually, well, it's not use certain habits, but how we actually put them to use. So how do we train certain habits? Because the more we do it, the more predictable it is, the less energy it costs. So we can use our brain and whatever it is that we need to use for other things, which of course helps. So what do I use? Well, I actually already told you. It's a treat for a reward. It's a little bowl, and of course the clicker itself. And the more he's getting used to all these kind of things, the more I can extend the repertoire. So I can start cutting his nails, for instance. And so I can teach him new things. And of course, the brain likes novelty. Now, I told you about the why, the who, the key players. It's not just the cat in this case, it's me too. And when we are talking about replacing bad behavior with better behavior, using not clicker training, yes, for the cat, but positive reinforcement, which basically also is clicker training, then this is about us and how we respond, because we can train ourselves. And the question, of course, is where do we do it? And this is what is so cool. So for Zines, it's best to use an environment which is not too distracting, unless, of course, I want him to focus on his name. Then whenever he is distracted, that's when the calling of his name actually works quite well. So there's one more thing we call the X factor, and this is about consistency. So the secret sauce is consistency. We want to do it regularly. Now, having talked about Zines, and of course, by doing this, I also create a certain bond with him. But now let's take it to us as human beings. I've been talking for a while now about rewriting your inner story. And rewriting your inner story has to do with beliefs. It has to do with habits. It has to do with the inner child. It has to do with our best future self. And then some other components. And these components each come back. When we talk about the bond between cat and owner, when we're talking about us as human beings, we can talk about the bond between ourselves. So how about that? How do we listen to our inner voice? How do we interact with our inner kid? How will our future self be able to say thank you to us? That's where trust comes in. Do we dare to trust ourselves? Or are we listening to the inner beliefs, which are basically the story from other people? Now, let's get into the 7 reasons why. So, the power of positive reinforcement, well, it releases something, and that's dopamine. And dopamine is what they say is chocolate for women, and I'm the exception to the rule. But yes, when we eat, that's instant satisfaction. So dopamine is like that instant rush, which makes you feel good. And whenever we do so, whenever we work on something, that's when that dopamine actually starts to hit. It's when you're working out, when you go to the gym, then usually you get a dopamine rush. It's when I didn't get the dopamine rush anymore that I knew something was off. I didn't want to go to the gym anymore because I came out just so tired. And well, it showed something to me. It said something is off. But normally, when we work towards a goal, that's actually when the dopamine gets increased because it likes it. Now, What else do we want? We want predictability. And why do we want predictability? Because that way, when we know what's going to happen, we can get to free up space for other things. Now, isn't that interesting? So, as for Zenith, the cat, I wanted him to get rid of excessive energy. But what I want as a human being is when I work on something, I want to be aware of my energy. I want to be aware of my energy levels. So when do I do certain things best? That's what I need to figure out. But by doing it, doing certain things a certain way, I actually save on energy. So we get dopamine hit and we save on energy. Now, those are 2 reasons why to do it, and we still have 5 left. Now, here's the thing, and that's why I actually started this live, because I was thinking about it. This is so interesting when we are talking about bad behavior versus good behavior. That's literally what got me thinking. And I was like, okay, so we know we feel more comfortable when good behavior is reinforced. I mean, we can be proud of ourselves. Especially when we are aware of what we've done, it actually just feels good. Now, if we are to give in to negative, so not necessarily negative behavior, but the punishment of negative behavior, which we are very good at, by the way. I mean, we've been told so many times not to do certain things, or we got scolded, or something happened, and we've internalized those stories. So because we don't want to be confronted again with being punished in whatever way it is, maybe ignored, maybe a feeling that you're not worth it, people trying to talk you down, saying you're not worth it. If we want to change that, we can do it, but it won't be easy because, like I said, we've internalized it. But think about this. What happens if we take things out on ourselves? We cause ourselves stress. And it's also kind of hard to replace a bad behavior based on fear and punishment as to when you actually have a good behavior in place. And even more so, when you actually do so, there's something else. The brain picks up on things easier when there is something to replace it with. So that's something to think about. That instead of saying no, 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 let's come up with something else. Something which feels good, something which is aligned with our goals, something which provides us with energy, something which provides us with joy and pride because we're doing it, something which hits us with dopamine. Now let's go to the next one. And this is alignment, and it is looking at your future self and your goals. So this is all about connection. And when we talk about rewriting our inner story, we also talk about the future self. So part of it talks about the inner kid, the one who has all the dreams and basically tells it the way it is. Unless, of course, it's being conditioned to change that. And that's why in my challenge, I talk about adopting an inner kid. And by the way, adopting an inner kid and learning to express yourself through this inner kid actually works quite well. When you get used to actually saying what's on your mind or writing it down, I mean, you do have to consider the circumstances, but at least when you are in touch with your inner feeling and you're not dismissing it, but you're paying attention to it and then considering, okay, what am I going to do right now? What am I going to do later on? You would be surprised what's actually possible. So by doing so, and then we get back to the future self, we go from dreams and goals to your mission. What is it that you actually want to accomplish? And when you are aligned with it by positive reinforcement, so basically working towards it, so not doing something that's against it and then hearing no, but actually like, okay, so what can I actually do? You'd be surprised. Now, by doing things over and over again, things are getting easier. Works for Zenas too. He's getting smarter and it's already a smart cookie. So before the clicker training, I already was pointing out certain things. If I want him to go up the stairs, then I'll point to the stairs like, hey, go there. I want him to follow my finger and then he knows I need to go up. I gave him a harness. Well, actually, the previous owner did. And, well, he would lie down and I was like, you said he could use a harness. Well, not so much. So I bought a bigger one, not realizing how I had to measure it. And he could escape out of that one because he's got a big head, but a small neck. And that's the breed, basically. So I went to a pet store and they came up with 2 little straps which form a harness. And he's quite good at that one. But I did attach something to it, a little bell, because I want to be able to hear where he actually is. And a little penning, not sure if that's the right word, like a little coin where his name is engraved, my name is engraved, and my phone number is in there. He hasn't been chipped yet, but that's something that's going to happen. So by teaching him certain things already, he already learned like, oh, okay, so that's the way it works. Let me just switch this up really quickly. So there we go. Not sure if that makes it any better. But yes, by doing things more often, it gets easier. And like I said, we're saving on energy and we can use it for other things. And here's the thing, the more we do it, the more we are like, oh, this actually works quite well. And talking about this, today was such a day that things didn't go the way they should. And that's an understatement. I said, I'm going to do my live. I'm still searching for what the best day is, and it's probably going to be on a Sunday. So I planned this actually on a certain time that I was like, okay, I've done all the other things. So prior to midnight, then I have Duolingo, I have my 5 to Thrive. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to do it after midnight. And I had been thinking about the story, what I wanted to share. I was very enthusiastic about it. So remember, when we talk about the dopamine hit, when we're talking about novelty, well, there it goes. The brain loves novelty. But I'm also used to going live. The whole thing is that I used to use a paid version of StreamYard, and they went 4 times over that price. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. So before I went live, I was like, okay, I need to work on my vet. So for the taxes. And I was like, I'm going to diminish the number of hours that has been recorded because I am only allowed like 5 hours. So I was like, okay, I can make that work. But downloading the whole stuff, as far as I didn't already do that in the past, and not getting my printer to work, well, those things didn't work quite well. So I started later than I wanted to, and then I was like, oh, he doesn't do any local recording. He doesn't do any recordings at all anymore. So if I stream this and this is streaming to YouTube, then that's it. And yes, I've been spoiled. And again, I didn't mind to have a paid version, but going from $100, well, a little less, to over $400, well, it's a matter of principle. And sometimes you have to also check if there are other ways to work with things. So for instance, right now, I'm also recording on Zoom using my phone. I have no clue how this is going to work out, but we are going to see how it does. And actually, it's kind of funny that I'm using Zoom because I basically could have used record video. Well, sometimes because we were doing new things, we have to learn what works. And that's why repetition actually is a good thing. So the not so good thing about the whole screen share using Zoom is that actually all the notifications on there are showing too. But we have to start somewhere. So that's what I'm doing. Now, why was this so important for me? Because I already was in that mood. I had visualized what it was going to be like, sitting in front of the screen, sharing things. I had written things down. And I was ready to go live. And there was a slight disappointment when I realized, oh, this is not going the way that I would like it to go. So I was like, okay, I'm used to doing this. So let's go do it again. And that's reinforcing good behavior because we're talking about consistency. If I wouldn't have done it, I could have said, bad girl, bad lady Lexi. No, it's good lady Lexi because I'm doing it. And, well, it might be a little, one can wonder how good it actually works. But, again, we need to start somewhere. It's about figuring out how this works. Now, all the settings have changed. So let's go back to the 7 reasons why. So the first thing, like I said, telling myself, hey, well done. You're doing it. Worked quite well, right? By doing it more often, and I did it on a weekly basis, and then I sort of didn't anymore. So for a while now, I was like, I need to get back to consistency. And this week, I actually stirred things up. I said, okay, I know I need to work on some other things too, but first I'm going to back to consistency. When I've scheduled certain things, we call it batch scheduling, and I've got time left, then I'm going to work on the other stuff. So it's a new way of thinking about things and doing certain things. But I know I can do it. I know I can. I just needed to find a way again. And I was like, no, I want my message to get out there. It's about getting perspective. It's about being heard, seen, and understood, feeling good enough. And I don't know if you read it between the lines, but when I talked about not punishing yourself, so punishing bad behavior, but actually doing the opposite, reinforcing good behavior, we are learning to rewrite our own inner story, saying we are good enough, we matter, we are worth it. So I want you to think about that one. While I'm going and talking about all these points, I want you to think about this, write them down. So when I talk about the power of positive reinforcement, have you already applied this? Or are you someone who tells yourself the negative story, what you've heard from someone else? Do you think at this moment, well, never mind, it's not going to work anyway, so I'm not going to do it? Well, that's something, again, you want to think about. So when we talk about predictability and simplicity, using your energy for something else because you've been so consistent that you basically can dream what you need to do. So it might take out the excitement of novelty, but then again, when you have more energy left, you can actually use it for something new. So how about you? What are things you are already familiar with? What would you like to do more often? Get better at? That's something I want you to think about. Now, we also talked about the stress versus progress. So what does it do with your body when you are being harsh on yourself? You know, it creates stress, just like when others are hard on you too. So let's be kind to ourselves. Let's give ourselves grace. I know we can do it. So are you going to do it? So by doing something because you wanted to and actually saying, hey, well done, that's a whole different ballgame. And I want you to think about, what is your default mechanism? Is it being harsh on yourself? And how does that work? I really want you to think about that. How does that work out for you? Now, as for novelty, keeping the brain engaged, when we are good at things, then we can start doing other things too. And when we talk about consistency and improving things, just like doing this live, I'm constantly tweaking and changing things. Like, what's the best day to actually do these kind of things? So I used to have my Friday night live, but then at some point I started playing drums on that Friday night because the people at my house were not at my house at that day, and because of circumstances, the permanent house guest, she is not equipped to the vibration of the drum kit. So when she's gone, it's like, yes, and then I go play drums. I mean, I've got a total music room over there, so it's kind of cool. So I'm looking for what's working best, what's serving me best. And I figured out that Sunday is actually a day where things are relaxed. I don't have to talk with my clients if I don't want to, although Sunday is a good day for it. But, you know, external factors normally aren't there. So it gives me more of the chance to prepare for things, think about, oh, what do I want to think about next week? What do I want to wrap up this week? So I'm kind of relaxed, so that's good. I'm good in energy. By adding things one step at a time, tweaking and changing, there is that dopamine hit of novelty. Now here's the thing, I talked about consistency, and that dopamine hit and the longing for novelty, that's what's distracting us. So here's a challenge for you. Can you actually say, I need to go do this before I can do something else? What's your inner story? What's your inner talk when you allow yourself to be distracted. And actually, something happened to me. I was watching something, a video, and it was kind of intriguing. It was about someone who was adopted in this family. Then someone else got adopted that was supposed to be the real flesh and blood from the same orphanage. And the one who had been adopted like 10 years earlier slowly got, and that was the result of the new one who got adopted, who actually had faked everything. And she felt like, I'm no longer not only good enough, but I'm no longer wished for. Now, of course, this is not just drama, it's fiction too. So it was about going in this cryo chamber for 30 years, then coming out same age. And she was like, well, that's good, because I can start anew. And the end result of it, and that was kind of fascinating, was like, she literally forgot everything. So I was like, is there a warning ahead of time that when she goes in there that she was going to forget things? And her family had been waiting for her for 30 years. It took them a while to figure out what she had done. And it was a project from her big brother, and well, it was anonymous. So she was like, where did they go? They didn't know. And then they figured it out, but they couldn't interrupt the process. So 30 years later, here they are. They already had realized that they made a major mistake by ignoring her. And they found out that the other one was a fraud. So they wanted to make up for things. So she gets out of that cryo chamber, still her heels on, doesn't have to stretch her muscles, nothing along those lines. And, well, she looks at them. The big brother realizes that there's, she needs to realize, like, hey, how's this working? So he shakes her hand. He says, thank you. And then she says, do I know you guys? And then she walks off and around them. So I basically talked to Brendan AI. That's the artificial intelligence of Brendan. And if you want a link to talk to him too, then let me know. I can give you a free trial, and it's so worthwhile. And I said, I don't get it, why I have been fascinated with this. I've been watching over and over again at the beginning and the end. What did I miss? And then he said to me, but what is resonating with you when it comes to that story? I was like, oh, that's so true. And well, I'm in a certain circumstance where, it would be nice to start certain things over again, because I don't always feel appreciated by certain people. Now, let's be real here. I don't want to lose all my knowledge or whatever it is. Ooh, there's a lot of rain going on. I hope you can still hear me. It was nice to actually have the window open. So I was like, maybe I need to close it and turn on the air conditioning. But, well, this was a risk. Novelty, right? New things. We need to adapt, be flexible. And I was like, okay. Yeah, a lot of people actually noticed that, if it were up to me, I wouldn't be living in this country. And now with my parents being gone, not having to take care of them anymore, chances are, I could actually do it. So it's, I do have 2 kids who call me Auntie Lexi, though. Well, they're not my kids, but I see them like every week. It would be nice to keep seeing them every week, but still, a fresh start would be nice. And when you get distracted, just write down, what is making you distracted? Is it because you don't want to do the things? Is there a fear of doing the things that you were supposed to do? Or is there another reason? Simplicity. I know, and then we get back to consistency, how easily I can stop doing things. Now, whether this is because of the lack of novelty or not, well, today it's not about the lack of novelty, I can tell you that much. Or because something is like, I don't know. And working with Brandon AI has changed things. I mean, he literally asked me questions over and over again. And I want to ask you, if you stop doing things consistently, what's the reason? Is it fear? Is it boredom and you need novelty? What's actually going on in the background? And I know that if I want to create a legacy, and let's face it, this week a lot of people passed on, including someone my age. And whereas my parents died close to 90, it seems like the current generations, they are not getting that old anymore. So that's something to think about. And I want people to know that they are good enough. I want them to know they have perspective, that they deserve to be heard, seen, and understood. And specifically, people who are neurodivergent, so that's the opposite of neurotypical, they understand things differently, they express themselves differently. And I want everyone to be able to have perspective. That's why I'm talking about rewriting your inner story. But it's also about speaking up, speaking out, sharing that story so people get to understand you. Now, last but not least, do you visualize? Do you meditate? Whenever I do group coaching, I usually do meditation as well. And whenever you get to do training, I will do meditation as well. So just close your eyes for a moment and think about something that you really would like to achieve. The first thing we need to do is relax ourselves. We need to relax the chatterbox. So basically, you can write down that one word that you want to think about, or write down the 3 words. But then I want you to close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Breathing is boring, so then the chatterbox gets bored. And that's when the other voice, the inner voice, the deeper inner voice, can actually come to the surface. And if you're wondering how does that work, then check out my other YouTube videos. So close your eyes and just shake your shoulders a little bit, shake your hands a little bit, tap your feet on the ground, and just feel everything relax, feel everything getting heavier and heavier. So breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. If it helps, focus on the word release. Brandon Burchard has this amazing release technique. I basically say release when breathing out. Release to let go of things. So breathe in. Now think about that goal. We're going to go down a stairs. We're going to count backwards from 10 to 1. There's logic behind that one. So 10, think about that one thing that you really want to accomplish. And 9, while you're going down the stairs, there's this glimmer of hope. Like, oh, could this actually work? And 8, there we go. There we go. We are doing it. We are doing it. So, seven.
Recording in progress.
While you are going down the stairs, you are like, oh, I'm actually looking forward to this feeling. Just a moment for myself. And 6, you get more and more relaxed. And 5, even if you don't remember what it was all about, then 4, you still know this is going to be a quick recharge for you. Because 2, while we are doing this, we can actually put little assignments in our brain, assignments which are helpful, which can reinforce that positive behavior. So 2, here we are, one more step, and then it's playtime. So 1, here you are, and who's with you? Is your inner child with you? The one who is aware of those dreams and goals? Your inner child you maybe haven't listened to for a while? You don't have to be the smart, responsible adult right now. You can have fun. You can enjoy. So where would you like to be? Where is this dream or this goal taking place? Maybe you can smell something. Maybe like the salty air of the sea. Or maybe you are standing in the grass bare feet and you can feel the grass between your toes. Or maybe you are in the sand and you can feel the sand between your toes. Is it cold? Is it warm? What do you hear? Do you hear the waves of the ocean? Do you hear the sound of the wind? Maybe you are somewhere and they are playing a ball game and you hear the tick. And maybe you are not experiencing anything at all. And that's okay too. Just go on with the release. Breathe in. Hold. Release. Everyone experiences things different. So what do you feel on your face? Do you feel anything on your face? Maybe not. And that's okay too. But maybe you do experience all those things and it's taking you somewhere. Or maybe there's a word which pops up, or an image or a symbol. And again, if it doesn't, that's okay too. Because whatever is going on, by the time you go back up the stairs again, you are going to feel refreshed, energized. But you also will know whether it's straight away or somewhere during the day or maybe later in the week, you will get back to that one thing. So just take a deep breath in and smile. Be happy because this is good. And say, yes, I did it. So there we go. And just enjoy wherever you are. Maybe you are in a hot spring. Maybe you're climbing mountains. Maybe you're not doing anything at all. Maybe you just needed some sleep. But that dream, certain things will come to your mind, certain things which are important. And maybe it's linked to a role model, someone you've been following and thinking about, but how can I apply this myself? Maybe it's something you've been thinking about but dismissing. So let it come to you. You don't have to be like, I need to know. No chatterbox. Just take it easy. Now, having experienced this, we are going to go back up the stairs again. So 1, here you are. Say goodbye to your inner child. Say goodbye to the surroundings. And 2, whatever it is that you experienced, you are going to take it with you. And 3, you are noticing that you are getting more and more energized. And 4, you're also getting very cheerful, like, oh, wow, this was cool. And 5, you know that something has shifted in you. Maybe you don't know yet what it is, but you do know something has changed. And 6, in the next few hours, days, and weeks, you will notice something. And 7, you will write it down. When you notice something, you will literally jot it down because you know it's going to be important. And 8, it's going to bring you closer to your inner self, closer to who you are. And 8, just already stretch a little bit. Feel how good you are feeling. You can still keep your eyes closed, but feel the excitement. And 9, well, here we are. Prep yourself because here we are 10. You are up the stairs and we are back in the here and now. So tap your feet, shake your hands, shake your shoulders and say yes. And now take pen and paper and write down, what is it that you would like to replace? Which bad behavior would you like to be replaced with better behavior? And to which extent? So what do you want to accomplish? What is your goal that you would like to achieve? What is your future going to be like? And ask yourself this question. With everything that you're going to do from now on, will this serve my better future self? Will this serve me down the line? With every action that you don't take right now, you are actually doing yourself a disservice. But if you think about it, like, would my future self thank me for it? That's going to help you to achieve what it is that you are after. Now, if you are like, oh, I would like to know more, then how about signing up for the free challenge, Rewrite Your Inner Story? Just go to ladylexi.com and then use the abbreviation RYISC, Rewrite Your Inner Story Challenge. Just go there, check it out, and start working on yourself. It's time for joy. It's time for fun. It's time to appreciate yourself. It's time for perspective again. You don't know how long you will have in this life, so we better make the most of it and enjoy every moment, because you never know what's going to happen. But I do know that if you work on yourself, you appreciate yourself, and you work on things that you really want, then you are working on your future and you are going to thank yourself down the line. I'll see you again soon. Keep an eye on my YouTube and be sure to check out ladylexi.com.